Well, and while Sam is off enjoying the rest of the conference, we're heading straight into the next keynote up here. Our next speaker, his job would probably be rightly considered rocket science. He is with ESA, the European Space Agency, and he's their head of technology. So we're really interested in what he has to share about their work and their interaction with other companies. Give it up for Frank Salzgeber.
Good morning. We start right away with a sound check. I have here a soundtrack of a TV service that was running in the 60s, and maybe some of you remember what was the series. Can we hear it louder? Who knows that? Ram Patrol, yeah. Who knows that? Nobody. So I have to keep my T-shirt. Okay, there. Here we go. Whoops, the guy behind you. So there's no Congress without free T-shirts. So we had here Cliff Alexander McLean and Hasso Spurnbaum. They had this cool spaceship, and it was a time of Perry Rhodan and the other books called Doom from Frankie was writing that. And this was really taken up by TV. It was the fight between US and URSSR on space race. I'm born 3 years later after this show has started, and my first hero was Blue. This was my first hero. So another question to the audience, who had the dream to become an astronaut? Come on, don't be shy. Okay, thank you very much. Where are the ladies? No ladies. Okay, there, very good. So it was in 78 where we had the first space series from Lego. 3 years later, we had the shuttle launching, the Columbus Shuttle 91. And I do remember they had yellow one, gray, transparent. There was only one blue one, but the blue one was the boss. You know, they had walking robots, they had moon buggies, they had small and big, and this was really driving my childhood. And it was going continuing, because 1 year later, my brother was dragging me illegal, because I was not 14, into the cinema, and in the cinema, I have seen this movie. And that was Star Wars. And this was my heroes, my new heroes. The dark side, the Jedi's Knights. And I start to dream. And when I start to dream, I really cooked out one of my old collection when I was 11. This was the drawings I did at 11. You know, I thought about spaceships, Wookiee aliens, going to different planets. That is some years ago. That was in the 70s, end of the 70s. But when we're looking now today, you know what we got? Instead of spaceships and Star Trek, we got Facebook, Twitter, and all the other stuff. You know what? I feel a little bit cheated. Where is my dreams? Where are my future? And this is what I'm feeling. We lost a little bit time. We lost 50 years of imagination and dreams. And this I want to speak about to you. I think we need all more space. And we should not wait another 50 years, which can by. So therefore, I'm working for an International Space Agency, which these are the shareholders. I work for Apple Computer, I have my own startup company. My office is supporting 140 new startup companies a year in Europe. 10 out of that we do support here in Austria with our incubation center next to the science park. But I come later to that. So let's have a look where we really stay today, because if we want to predict the future, we have to see where we are. Astronauts. This we have. Alexander Gerst, he's pretty cool. He's in the training for his next mission. And you have to understand, I spoke with Chris Hartfield, as the Canadian astronaut, and the ratio when he was going with the shuttle was 1 to 36. So when we have here 1,000 people in the audience, yeah, which were not actually, but it means you in the front row, you are the 27, I'm sorry, you will not make it today. That is the ratio he had. So they don't do it really for the money. And when we're looking to that, you know what? Astronauts, tigonauts, cosmonauts, that is not so bad. We're doing not so bad. And we have even space girls. Samantha Cristoforetti on the space station. You remember the uniform? It's not official ESA uniform yet, but we're working on that. You know, and there's a private cargo ship on the outside, the Dragonfly from SpaceX. And this is the window looking down to the Earth. You know what? It's not so bad. And they fly to the International Space Station, which is not far away. It's just 400 kilometers up in the sky. Okay, it's quick, 28,000 kilometers per hour, and it takes 90 minutes to rotate Earth. And they don't do it for money. Half a year, no shower. Yeah? Every 10 days, the food is repeating. So this is one football field big and the pressurized volume of 2 jumbo jets. When I see that, you know what I say? It's not so bad. And this is the view you have out of the space station. We made it a little bit quicker. This is what astronauts, cosmonauts doing when they have time. They look down to Earth. The aurora borealis on the atmosphere. You're flying over Canada, you're flying over quick. 90 minutes rotating Earth, walking on air. And every time when I'm frustrated with the bureaucracy of my agency, that means every day, I watch that movie. And when I see that movie, you know what I say? It's not so bad what we do. We're landing not on other planets, but on other rocks. This is an asteroid, which we landed 2 years ago. The spaceship was flying 10 years, 650 million kilometers. That's 4 times the distance between Earth and Sun. And then we landed on a rock, 4 square kilometers big. This is awesome. The American NASA said it's impossible. We did it. You know what I say? It's not so bad. And we found water on Mars. Yeah? Okay, that's the wrong picture. But we really found water on Mars. You know, 2003, there's dust and ice on the maritime pole of Mars. And water is needed because it's the most precious element in the universe. And if we want to go out to other planets, we need water. And you know what? When I see that, it's not so bad what we do. And of course, we have rockets. Yeah, Ariane rocket, Soyuz rocket, flying 1,300 times, over 1,000 times the Soyuz rocket. And 3% of the rocket is payload, 3%. The rest is rocket. And it works. And it's reliable. 17 tons of fuel the Ariane rocket is burning. And I think it's not so bad. And this is even better than not so bad. That's a Falcon 9 landing on the spaceship, 50 to 90 meters. And trust me, 50 to 90 meters from space is damn small. And it's a reusable rocket. The Falcon 9 has 9 engines in the lower stage and 1 in the upper stage. And SpaceX from Elon Musk is reducing 9 of these engines because only 0.3% of the costs are based on propulsion, on the fuel. And this will drop down. And you saw the wave there. This is an autonomous ship. You know, it's amazing. It keeps the position even when you have 6, 7 meters of waves. And we just land there. That is not so bad. That is bad. There's space debris. We launched 6,600 satellites. And out of that, 3,600 satellites are still in orbit. And out of that, about 1,419 satellites are still operational. We made them a little bigger. This is junkyard, our space, and we pollute our environment. We pollute orbit. And you have to see a small space debris this size has the same kinetic energy than a Volkswagen Golf with 70 kilometers per hour. They are bullets. And in geo-orbit, it's even worse. We have to tackle that. We need a recycling system, what we do with this space debris and satellites. And trust me, we have already startup companies looking to that. The orbit, how we get rid of this waste we have in space. So that is bad. Space today is a big business. You don't see it, but we have it. Every second long-distance call is going via space. Who uses navigation devices in iPhones in cars? Come on, don't tell me the truth. You're using space. Thank you very much. In the future, hopefully, you will use Galileo, because I would trust more Galileo. If I have an autonomous car, I always ask who you would trust the signal, or which signal you would trust your life on. Or other way around, which signal will be manipulated for political reasons? Maybe the Russians, the Chinese, the Americans, thank you, Mr. Trump, or the Europeans. Come on, even when the Europeans want to manipulate the signal, it takes so long until they get consensus. We are the only trusted signal. I would trust my life on Galileo, not on the other signals. And this is where startup companies can make money. Maybe the past was not as bad as we thought, or as I thought. And let's see what we do with our dreams. That is my new boss, Professor Dr. Jan Werner. And it's my new space boss. He does not like new space. He says, okay, space 4.0 is much cooler, it's better. And he thinks about the united space of Europe, what we can do. And with this quote of my previous boss, Steve Jobs, if you want to predict the future, the best way is invest in it. And this is what we do. And one of his dreams is a moon village, a permanent presence of humans on the moon. And we speak with companies how we do that. We're building a city. And that reminds me to my youth. There was a TV series, I don't remember, I even had a prototype or a dummy on it. Moonbase Alpha 1, does you remember one of these days? That was cool, that was awesome. So maybe we're a little bit closer to my dreams and to our dreams we had as a child today. And that's not Star Wars, but it's true. It's our colleagues from the European Southern Observatories. We don't kill other stars, we mark stars and make a photo. There are 4 20-watt lasers. These lasers are this big. And we shoot to the star, and then we target it and we make a photo. So we search for planets instead of killing them. That is cool. And we also have rockets in Europe. We don't have not always going to America. There's this Raul with his team, and they just received in September 7 million investment, and they built that launcher in Europe, in Spain. And we support them. And today, if you need a satellite, there's another startup company, ISIS Space. Go to the CubeSat shop online and buy a satellite. Everybody can buy a satellite. And yesterday, we selected in our selection campaign a company out of Austria, which is world leading. I believe it's the best company in electrical propulsion. And if you want to buy this propulsion system, go online. This is the future. So, and satellites, when we speak about big data, we heard it before. Trust me, we are in big data. We are really in big data and satellite images. So all the satellite images what we get. I can tell you when you go swimming, what is the water quality, what is the water visibility, what is the water spirit, what is the current, what's the wind speed, what will be the wind speed. I can even tell you if the grass where you're lying on needs more fertilizer. Thank you to satellites. And we got the Superman view. This is New York. But you also can see where's the vegetation. You can see where the transportation, layer by layer by layer, and then you move it in time. It's a 4-dimensional system. You see where is the past, 9/11. You see what is the aging population. You can say where are the traffic accidents. This is big data. And if you combine it with statistic data, seismic data, Facebook is Mickey Mouse. This is where we see the big startup companies on up. But we also do crazy things. And it's my favorite startup company at the moment. 4 weeks ago, they had the test flight. One of 140 startups we support every year. In Oberpfaffenhofen, and these are people that it's pure electrical. A 5-man seater prototype, and if it starts vertical, this is Daniel, the CEO. So the guys are really happy. They started with 4 people, now there are 60 people, and then it goes to vertical plane. This is the future of urban transportation. And you know what? What is the best thing? We piss off Airbus and Boeing with that. 300 kilometers speed, distance 300 kilometers. So pure electrical. This is the future transportation between one tower in Shanghai and another one. And you know what we do at the end? You see it in a second. It is landing like it has started. One of 140 companies we support every year. They don't have a problem with financing. We help them. So this is what we do in incubation. And in flight paths and so on. And let's look to a future. We even do, by the way, technology transfer with the Catholic Church. They have a little bit more longer time horizon. And a buddy of mine, Rick Tim Olsen, he's the president of Deep Space Industries. And they're looking to mining on Asteroid. And you can say, that is a joke, it's far away. 2 years ago, President Obama signed the Commercial Space Act Agreement. The United States of America, 2 years ago, guaranteed now to everybody who can prove, which have moved the flight path of an asteroid, that is your gold claim. And to move the flight path of an asteroid, you remember the first slide, Rosetta? It's a 15 years old technology. So you can claim that it's your asteroid. Luxembourg is investing 200 million into these ventures. They created a new fund in the same legislation. We have 13,500 near-Earth objects, asteroids. And I take only one example. Eros, the size of the Lake of Constance. There's more gold in this asteroid than mankind has digged or will be able to dig out of Earth. One asteroid. More steel than what we have produced since mankind on Earth. One asteroid. And Luxembourg has already made money out of space twice. First, it was a small company, SL Astra, now the biggest satellite company in the world, 45 satellites. And everybody who wants to invest in Astra had to place an office in Luxembourg. This is the reason why they had all these financial institutes. Now they say, 200 million. What is that? We made twice already big money with space. So we invest into the future. And there will be a Earth economy, a near-Earth economy. Because when we're mining on satellites with robots or bacteria, and we produce rockets, the most expensive part is to bringing the stuff up to space. Why not producing rockets in space and propel it? And this will come. We will have repair shops with satellites in space. We will have transportation in space. We will have permanent base on moon. And there's a nice Russian scientist says, Earth is the cradle of mankind, or humanity, but nobody wants to be in the cradle forever. So when we look into the future, I think we will have new players. Google and Apple are today the old economy. So let's see who is the new economy. And this is where everybody can be part of it. As a dreamer, as an engavelist, or as a startup. And this is where we help to make your dreams fly. And there will be the time when we leave our Earth and colonize other planets. And there's a Nobel Prize winner, maybe you heard about him, Paul Crutzen. And he said 2000 in a meeting where the chairman always spoke about the Holocene. This is the Earth age which we are in at the moment. And he said, we are not in the Holocene, we are in the Anthropocene. Anthropocene is a very difficult Greek word because it brings the human and geology. So at the time in the past, we always thought we cannot be better than nature. We cannot do more. But this will change. I strongly believe that we will travel to Mars, if it's not me, my kids, if it's affordable, and it will become cheaper. And I strongly believe that we have the chance to terraform Mars, that we will move to other planets. And this time age just has started. And there are only 2 slides you have to remember. Or 1 slide. This is the most important slide. I have twins, 2 boys. These are my heroes now. They're 10. But Johannes was dismantling my toolbox. Yeah? And this is what we have all to stay. Matter does not watch age. We have to keep the curiosity of our kids in our hearts. We have to keep this movement when we were young. Because when I see my startup companies and when I see my boys, they have no fear and they have little respect. And this is what we need to really come up with new innovation, to come up with new ideas, and to change a little bit the status quo what we have. And therefore I want to conclude with a picture which you should keep. So everybody can reach the stars. Everybody. You only have to add space. Thank you very much for your attention.
Well, thank you very much, Frank.
My pleasure.
Again, we'll be able to take some questions, but first, something that made me curious. You said that you were supporting startups. We have quite a lot of startup people here, so it might be interesting for them to hear a bit more about that.
Yeah, I have good news. You have to see ESA has a budget of 4.3 billion. So that's the good news. We don't want to make money with startups. So what we want, I'm the head of the recycling office. I recycle innovation. And my job is that all the taxpayer money where Europe has paid in ESA is properly used in these small recycling offices. So the startups we support here, also with the Science Park, there's a booth out there if you have questions. They get 50K from us. We will want nothing in return. I tell you, we want something. We want to have good stories in return to tell to the minister. You see what we do. You get 50K. We help with technology support. We help with sheltering, with coaching, and we help with our address book. Trust me, our address book is pretty good. We help that you get customer number. Not number one. Number one is easy to get. You always find a customer. Number 2 and 3, it's hard to get. So there's an Irish saying, on the shoulders of the giants you see further. We are the giants. So this is what it can offer to you, that you use stuff which we have already in the market. Infrastructure, space, so going down, or bring it up. So this is what we can offer to startups. What we want to return is a good story, that you're successful and that you have used space. And if you let us do that, even on our web portal, then we are happy. That's the only thing I want to have. Yeah, so we are not taking any shares. We leave that to the VCs or whatever. So we are the nice uncle with 50K in the pocket and the right address book.
Well, I see a couple of startup people in the rows frantically thinking how they could move their startup in the direction that you're going to support.
Yeah, and you have to have the space connection. Sorry, I have to say, if you make brewing beer, then you have to do it on the space station. Then it's okay. Yeah. So.
Well, I'm sure we'll find somebody who's keen to brew beer up on the space station. Apart from that, or concerning that, are there any questions for Frank? Yeah, right there in the front row.
Hello. I think also corporates could profit a lot from space technologies, like bringing them down to Earth, as you just mentioned. Are there projects you're doing with big corporations like railway providers or others? And how does that function?
I think we speak with Shell, with BP, we speak with Mercedes, we speak with Siemens. The problem is always engineers hate technology which is not invented in-house. Yeah, this is the big problem. So beside companies which are really under pressure, so the energy companies at the moment in Germany, you know, their shit really hits the fan. This is good for us because they listen. But most of the big corporates, it's the same with our space industry. The space industry is like the Addams family, the monsters. You know the monsters? They're pretty cool, and the car industry is the same. Yeah? They're pretty cool, have a lot of tricks for the outside. They're freaks. So this is what they lock them up themselves. They're not open. In Europe, I have seen only a few companies really actively looking for open innovation. And this is, I think, also what they have to understand, because between purchasing a startup company or doing nothing, there are 250 shades of gray, giving them a contract. So some companies doing that, but I spoke with the ex-CTO of Siemens and the boss of Allianz. Trust me, they talk a lot, but they don't implement much. But this is good. I don't have a problem with it, because evolution has only 2 passes. Evolution or dying out. And dying out, sorry, is not bad. It makes room for new people. So Kodak, sorry, bad luck. Yeah.
All right. Probably you should spread that message over to the startup playground over there during the course of the next 2 days. They're going to be glad to hear that. Any more questions from the audience?
I stay here at the ESA booth, so please come by and have a great, great event.
I'm quite surprised we didn't raise any questions with the whole brewing beer in space theory. Oh yeah, there we go.
Thank you. I was kind of fascinated by the asteroid you wanted to bring to Earth.
No. This is why we should bring it to Earth. You know, this is when you build rockets in space, you leave it there. So we have even a company. Oh, but question first, sorry.
Sorry. So you want to bring the asteroid close and then get the metals out of it in space and build the rocket there.
For example, you can also bring it down. What is the question?
Yeah, how are you going to bring it down? Because you can't just let it crash on Earth, right?
Yeah, but this is, you can. This is what I would do. But also you have to see, you all think about robots, but I met a guy in Hello Tomorrow in Paris, and he's doing gene-manipulated bacteria for old open gold mines. And I said to Peter, Peter, do you have also bacteria which doesn't need oxygen? I said, oh yeah, I have one. You send a probe there, and then 50 years, it's digesting all the gold or platinum or whatever, and then if you have mini asteroids coming to Earth, you land it in water and then you collect it. Where's the issue? A little bit burns in atmospheres, but so what? So you have to think in a long horizon. We made a technology transfer to the Vatican. They're using a data format for the Vatican library for their books, where we have our star maps. And these maps are needed because when we're going out of Earth to Mars and further, we will navigate like Magellan or Columbus. We will use the stars. So went down to the Vatican library and asked the Monsignor, Monsignor, why you take not PDF from Adobe? It's a pretty good format. And he said, Mr. Salzgeber, who can guarantee that Adobe in 50 to 100 years still exists? We in the Vatican have a different time horizon. They look long term. And I think the astronaut mining, you have to see long term. You know, you make you invest now into the future in 50 years. And there are so many technologies. And this is where Luxembourg's invest. They say, we invest in technology which allows to predict the future. Going back to Steve Jobs, investing into the future is the best way to predict the future. Which you need to detect it, you hammer your asteroid into it, or your spaceship in it, and you claim it as your gold claim. And then you wait 20 years. Your bank is financing a house for 30 years. Do you know what is in 30 years? No clue. I think we have to look a little bit long term and making profit already quicker.
Yeah,
Was that an answer?
Yeah, thank you very much.
So you're probably the only agency that's cooperating with the Vatican and startups at the same time. I don't think they share a target audience that much.
There's no crazy transfer.
Yeah, sure. Go wherever the road takes you, I guess, and take a couple of mini asteroids along the way.
Okay, thank you so much.
Any more questions? I'm sorry, I think there was another question over there, but
I'm staying here around.
he'll be around, so if you want your question answered and we're not quick enough now, please see him at the ESA booth, and thanks for having you, Frank Salzgeber.